may have already seen that earlier this year we took the new Honda Civic across Europe on an epic road trip. Awesome roads, autobahns and racetracks were all involved. This is the complete story with a few bonus bits thrown in. Well, a plane journey later, and here we are. Welcome to Frankfurt in Germany, where we begin our epic road trip. Now, I'm sure some of you guys well know from the promotion we're doing, this road trip is of biblical scale. 1,500 miles, 4 countries, some really challenging roads, and 2 world-famous racetracks. And the car we're putting through its paces, that would be our championship white Honda Civic Type R. Now, of course, one of those infamous racetracks would have to be the Nürburgring, where this car once held its lap record. So we're not going to go and try and break it tomorrow, especially as there's thunderstorms forecast. But it'll be certainly interesting to see whether the Type R can live up to its infamous green hell reputation. Now, I've just been busy putting some promotional stickers on this car, but let's make a formal introduction. This is our 306 brake horsepower monster that we are taking across Europe. You guys know the drill for this car, but in case you don't, here are the headlines. 306 brake horsepower from a 2 litre turbocharged VTEC engine. 0 to 62 miles per hour in 5.7 seconds, and it'll go on to a top speed of 167 miles per hour. Whilst it no longer holds the Nürburgring lap record until very recently, this car definitely punches well above its weight. Our example, finished in championship white, looks menacing with black details and those large alloy wheels that shelter the 350mm drilled brakes. Bespoke Continental tyres wrap around these alloys and give this car plenty of bite. Also accompanying us are a pair of red ones, but seeing as we've already done a video of one in red, the championship white made a lot of sense. The only trouble is, it doesn't stay clean for very long. For the full road test of this car, check out our YouTube channel, where we've done plenty of miles to give you a full verdict, as well as put it up against the new Ford Focus RS. Confession time. As much as me as an enthusiast knows of the Nürburgring, its layout and, you know, what corner comes next, etc, etc, I've never actually driven it in person. Computer games and everything, but I'm sure that's very different from what the green hell has in store for us tomorrow, and in some really, well, the forecast at the moment, difficult conditions to say the least. So we'll see how that goes. But I'm filled with like this nervous excitement. I can't wait to get underway. The car's ready, I'm ready, we've got all the camera gear. Let's put this show on the road. For now, good night, and I'll see you bright and early tomorrow morning when we hit the autobahns, getting ready for the Nürburgring. This is the green hell, where boys become men, the brave become heroes, and the stupid become dead. So, after a quick spritz down the de-restricted autobahn just to get the juices flowing for this Type R, we have arrived at the Nürburgring. Now, I don't claim to be any pro racing driver. Yes, I've had plenty of track experience, but I've never driven the Nürburgring in anything other than a video game. So I am excited, but also slightly nervous. We managed to beat the weather down. It is forecast for thunder and lightning anytime soon, but we absolutely blasted down this morning to beat the thunderstorm. So we do currently have a dry track, so at least we can push a little bit. But yes, let's see how this goes. Something I will note about the Nürburgring, as we're just pottering around the car parks at the moment, is the sheer number of oh look, it's one of our Type R's, here we go. Mr. Brownie, what, closed? What's going on? Closed. For how long?
Until they clear up.
So all of that was for all that anticipation, all that excitement, all of the rigging up of the cameras, and some tit has clattered a barrier, and as a result the Nürburgring is now closed. So now we play the waiting game. But the delay did allow us to admire the vast quantity of 911s that inhabit the Nürburgring. So here we go, second time's the charm. I am full of Red Bull. I am buzzing with nervous excitement. So we've got this little slip road as we exit. Probably best to pick up a little bit of pace. There's a Porsche Cayman parked to one side of the track, which is interesting. Oh, bit of a slalom. Just keep people on their toes. Right. Plus R, I think. So here we go, this is quite a surreal moment in my life, because this track has become such a iconic part of my childhood, playing through on Xbox and PlayStation, but here we are with the 306 brake horsepower Type R. Right. Turning right, this section misses out the Grand Prix circuit. Sorry, this is my concentrated face, and I apologise in advance if I am not talking very much. We do have the car in its Nürburgring specific Plus R mode. It means we've got the stiffer dampers, the faster steering. Oh, this is one thing that I forgot about the Nürburgring. This wasn't in my dream, where you're held up by Volkswagen Passats. Right, so here we go. Complex of corners here. We can feel those Continental tyres biting. This is my first ever lap of the Nürburgring, and I don't want to be the second accident of the day on this track. Here we go. We want to carry momentum through here. We go steaming up the hill. My wipers have come on. Very, very interesting mixture of corners, it has to be said. Third gear. Chuck it in. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. There. Tidy on the exit. Beautiful, nice one. Type R really feels like you work in tandem with this car. Don't get me wrong, it's not like a lot of other cars, a lot of other performance cars where it will do all the work for you, because it won't. I am sweating a little bit here. I'm having to be mindful of where the weight is in the car. Also approach speeds to corners. But I have to say, it is a car that is very rewarding whenever you absolutely nail an apex of a corner. The big thing that the video games don't give you here is the elevation changes in the track. This track snakes up and down and round. It's great though, it's a real chassis workout. You can definitely tell this car has done some development work here, to say the least. Here we go, we're about to enter the very famous carousel as we go uphill here. Now, does this Cayman want to get past us now? And we'll let him through. There he goes. That man has bought the right car. Into the carousel, second gear. Bumpy, 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 bumpy. Floor it. There we go, good exit. I mean, the Nürburgring is batshit crazy, I have to say, but I'm so glad this place exists in a day where speed limits come down on you like a ton of bricks. There's cameras everywhere. The Nürburgring is still here to quench the thirst of the speed demon. It's not the fastest lap, it's certainly not the tidiest lap, but we are having great fun. We've got some great company. That Cosworth's back. Right, this part of the car's going to go light, heavy braking zone, I know this. Watch out. Oh, there we go. Tuck it in, nice. There's a great sense of satisfaction whenever you do get one of these challenging corners just right. The track is very challenging. And now we cool down, back into the pits. Heart rate must come to a rest. Goodness me. Wow. Oh, that is a rush. Sweating a little bit, I have to say. I know it's a warm day, but thank you Type R for being just a perfect companion for that. Really worked with, you know, it worked with you, the car, without nannying you, without, you know, coddling you and the computer getting in the way. It felt like if I was going to make a mistake, it was going to be my fault, and the car wasn't necessarily there to catch me. But, you know, if it's not dangerous, it wouldn't be exciting. And that's half the draw of this place. But yeah, goodness me, very, very happy with the performance of this car. And there we go, I'm no longer a Nubrugring virgin.
Good morning and hello, welcome to day 2 of the epic Civic Type R road trip. We are in somewhere called Ilschwang, which is where, sorry if I'm mispronouncing that or sounding Japanese, it's a German town, I assure you. We drove across Germany last night. You might have seen the tail end of the previous video after visiting the Nürburgring. Disaster. No, all of the cars are still in one piece, but I do have the world's most creased shirt, sort of byproduct of living out of a bag, unfortunately. So today's plan is to take our rather fly-splattered and dirty Civic Type Rs across the border and into Vienna. There's some awesome roads up there and some awesome views to take in. So this will be a challenge for the car. Obviously, it's had its punishment on the Nürburgring. Is it still going to fare as well on the road? Let's find out.
Germany's parting gift was rain as we began to collect the kilometres. After yesterday's thrashing at the Nürburgring, where our Type R's very much impressed, the next 2 days were about seeing if it had stood up to its beating. It's all well and good building a car to take on the green hell, but Honda's world famous build quality still had a long way to take us. Growing tired of German autobahn and level tarmac, we entered Austria, where we were greeted by stunning scenery and some awesome roads. The hills were alive with the sound of VTEC. Hopping over the border into the Czech Republic for lunch offered a brief rest for both us and the cars. It's a visually stunning country with plenty of natural beauty, but the roads didn't have the same excitement as those in Austria. Craving more, we headed back to them. An overnight stop in Vienna was followed by us hitting the road once more with our sights firmly set on Hungary. A freak rain shower and just a brief spell on the motorway found us on some more enjoyable roads after crossing yet another border. The Type R relished its environment again, proving to be an engaging machine. A few hours later, we arrived in the cultured city of Budapest. So here we are at last at our overnight stop in Budapest, ready for tomorrow's fun and games. Now, apologies for the dramatic lighting and the awkward camera angle. Long story short, my other camera ran out of batteries, and we're now 3 stories underground in the hotel car park. So yes, we're here. It's been a bit of a change in pace, this second instalment of these videos. Obviously did the Nubrugring. Hopefully you really enjoyed seeing the Type R being put through its paces there. And of course this real long slog across Europe, really clocking up many hundreds of kilometres, has proven the Type R to be an absolutely bulletproof machine. They were absolutely spanked at the Nürburgring, and there's no bangs, rattles, everything works superbly and just as it did when it left the factory. So tick in the box for reliability there, I think. The journey doesn't end there. Next video, get ready to rumble, because we hit the Hungaroring. We have every Honda Civic Type R at our disposal to take around the track, as well as a little surprise that I cannot tell you about at this very moment in time. Our Civic Type R has had quite the adventure so far, tackling the infamous Nürburgring and covering hundreds of kilometres across no less than 4 countries. Today we are at the Hungarian Formula 1 host track, the Hungaroring, where we were in good company and had access to every Civic Type R to hit UK roads. So here we go then, the first car on our menu, and this is the EP3 Genesis for UK Type R owners. This is the first Type R that we actually got. This is the machine that kicked it all off, and quite rightly so. It just has this beautiful sense of connection with the driver. It's got a very well sorted chassis, good suspension balance, and not too much roll through the corners without ruining the ride. It's one of those very good all-round hot hatchbacks, and that's what won it a lot of popularity. Team that screaming VTEC engine with this delicious 6-speed manual transmission, and you have a recipe for one of the best hot hatchbacks ever. 197 brake horsepower gets this Type R from 0 to 62 miles per hour in 6.6 seconds. Top speed is quoted at being 146 miles per hour. You know, in today's day and age where there's so much computer interference in a car, it's very refreshing to drive something so pure and involving. You can have this unrelenting commitment into corners with this car. There's plenty of grip, and it communicates with you through the steering fantastically. You know exactly what's going on beneath you. So the FN2 Civic is something that is much debated as to whether it really lived up to expectations. It only ever had 1 brake horsepower more, and actually did 0 to 62 miles an hour in just about the same time as the first generation Civic that came to the UK. So, bit disappointing, lovely spaceship styling, but definitely in the performance arena, it's not all that fantastic, to be fair. However, this is no ordinary Civic Type R. This is in fact the Mugen edition, and it comes with a whole host of upgrades. Sitting 10mm lower and packing 237 brake horsepower, the Mugen is more than just a tune-up. New aerodynamic profiling, brakes, pistons, camshafts, ECU and exhaust add up to a serious hot hatchback. 0 to 62 miles per hour takes under 6 seconds, and the top speed is over 150 miles per hour. It's stiffer, it's leaner, it's meaner, and it probably has more in common with the latest Civic Type R. In here with its great big bucket seats and cluster of gauges, it feels like a real little race car, it has to be said. The Mugen boys did a top job on this thing. It feels so sharp. And of course that VTEC engine needs to rev and rev, but out here on the Hungaroring it's totally free to do so. What a great little package this is. Highly strung, yes, but my goodness, it's a little pocket rocket, this thing. This is the FN2 we always wanted, and it is the car here that shares most traits with the FK2. When it comes to the new turbocharged Civic Type R, it's unsurprising that it's the fastest, with a 0 to 62 mile an hour time of 5.7 seconds and a top speed of 167 miles per hour. That all comes thanks to 306 brake horsepower from that turbocharged VTEC engine. Whilst at the Hungaroring, this mean machine set a new front-wheel drive hot hatch lap record. It is an impressive lap record around here, but the Type R has been busy elsewhere too, setting similar lap records at a total of 5 world-famous racetracks. The Type R family reunion was hotting up. but it hit fever pitch when the beast in the garage awoke. This is the Civic TCR, and whilst it plays host to the same 4-cylinder turbocharged engine of the FK2, it is a completely different animal. Weighing just 1,260 kilograms including the driver, 330 horsepower goes a long way. At the wheel is Norbert, and he's a bit, well, let's say unhinged, but he's also a WTTC racing driver and winner at this very track in this very car. Weighing so little, this car's stopping power is enough to rearrange your internal organs, and the aerodynamic downforce teamed with slick tyres generates enough G to put them all back again. This purpose-built race car is like nothing else I have experienced on 4 wheels. It's fast, furious, and everything in between. Heading back to the hotel in our Type R left some time to think about the final challenge ahead. A race against time across Europe to catch a plane. All 306 brake horsepower will be called upon. Hello and welcome to Budapest in Hungary. It's a beautiful sunny morning, but sadly today is the last day of the road trip, and we have done some amazing things along the way. But today has to be a very, very big challenge for both us and the car. Whilst we've done the likes of the Nubrugring and the Hungaroring, and the cars have been very, very thoroughly tested, let's say, today we have to cover over 950 kilometres to get to the airport. Now we've set aside about 10 hours or so to do that, but that only leaves us about an hour spare once we get to the airport. So if there was traffic, if there was excessive border checks, it's going to mean that catching our flight is going to be tight. It's tight anyway, but yeah, the race against time begins now, and we're in traffic. So, good start. As Bruce Almighty would say, all of this horsepower, but nowhere to gallop. The congestion in Budapest cost us precious time. Google Maps reckoned that all things considered that this journey would take about 9.5 hours. Whilst we aim to shorten this time as much as possible, that is a long time to spend on a vast, featureless expanse of motorway. Okay, so a couple of hours have gone by, and the slight boredom of continuous motorway cruising has led to the most environmental form of motorsport ever. We're having an MPG off, like an economy run, except it's not quite MPG because we're in litres per 100 kilometres at the moment. So at the moment I'm doing quite a steady 8.6. Oh yeah. Okay, right, this is on. They've just come in at 7.6 litres per 100 kilometres. How are they even doing this? Oh my god. Right, okay. I'm going to win this. I am going to. This is probably not very entertaining for you to watch, but this is now the sole focus of my life, to beat these other 2 cars. I'm growing increasingly impatient of this man. Yes! Take that, Hungarian motorcyclist. Oh shit, the economy. No. Slow down. Sip, Type R, sip, don't gulp. Shit. So clearly getting impatient with the locals hasn't helped me there, but I've worked out if I reset the trip computer and drive really gently, I might be able to cheat this a little bit and potentially win. I mean, yes, the moral victory is theirs, but all that really matters is the actual victory, of which is mine. As we ploughed on through Austria, sadly not via the wildly entertaining roads we found when heading in the opposite direction, it gave us some time to reflect upon just what we'd put these Type Rs through. We've gone to 4 different countries, 2 different racetracks, visited really beautiful locations. It's been funny, it's been exciting, It's been scary going through some of the borders, but what an adventure. Highlights for me, well, I think going out to the Hungaroring was quite important. There's definitely something to be said for some of the lap times that have been set by this car recently, and it's good to see Honda really proving to the critics that this car is every inch the performance machine it was set out to be. Going around in the race car was just something incredible. It's just another planet in comparison to road-going cars. Something that's purebred, something that is designed for racing, doesn't have to meet the restrictions of the road, and it's just performance like you have never experienced. But for me, the highlight of this trip has to have been the Nubrugring. I mean, that's the pinnacle, right? That is one of the most challenging racetracks in the world, and we took a trio of standard Civic Type Rs, thrashed them all day long. You know, it was challenging for me, but the car seemed to take it all in its stride. You can definitely tell that it had a lot of development work done there. It felt right at home. I wrote recently in one of my articles that if this is the green hell, then the Type R is most certainly the devil, because it is right at home. Yeah, and I think what a bigger achievement is that, you know, the cars have been run consistently, hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of kilometres, then to a racetrack, hundreds and hundreds of kilometres, another racetrack, and here we are. There's not a squeak or rattle, nothing's loose, the car still feels as tight as a drum. You know, Honda's reliability is legendary. I think ultimately, whilst this trip has been a fantastic story to tell over this series of videos and the things we've done over social networking and on the website, I think the ultimate message we pull away from here is that Honda still build some very, very reliable cars that you can just, you know, use to your heart's content and not have to worry about squeaky bits of plastic or, you know, bits falling off or the engine getting worn out or the gearbox being shagged or anything like that. You know, over this trip these cars haven't been driven very economically, it has to be said. We've 3-car convoy. There have been times where you've had autobahns, we've had racetracks, we've had you know, going through towns and things like that. We've actually managed to average 26 mpg, and like I say, they haven't been driven gently at all. I mean, back home I've seen 30 out of this car, which for this calibre of performance car is pretty good.
As the hours rolled by and the kilometres clicked away, we were on the cusp of entering Germany. Crossing the border revealed that these cars needed feeding. So this is it, the last fuel stop, and we had some time to make up.
Okay, so we need to get a bit of a move on because the time for our flight is approaching. We're on a bit of de-restricted autobahn, and yeah, it's time to make haste, I think. This is the one thing with the autobahn, is you get traffic pulling out. You've got to think you're covering a lot of distance in a very short period of time. Most people do get out of the way. No traffic!
Scything through the traffic, we were cutting it fine. The net result of our journey, that totaled 967 kilometres to catch our plane, we made it, but not by much. Our dirty, fly-spattered car arrived at its drop-off in similar fashion to a Le Mans racer. Its filthy body told a story of dramatic adventure. Mosquitoes embedded from the autobahn, road filth in every nook collected on some epic Austrian roads, tiny specks of rubber collated from hitting the Nubrugring. I felt somewhat sad leaving my loyal steed in the car park. It had served me well, and I'd grown particularly attached to this championship white hero. Whilst not on camera, as we had packed them away in preparation for our dash to our aeroplane, in some clear air this car clocked 270 kilometres per hour, or 167.7 miles per hour. Cross my heart, hope to die, etc, etc, that was a special moment. What a parting gift. And you want to know something else interesting? The car was still pulling and would have continued on had we not met slower traffic. I took one last glance at the machine that had delivered my 1,621 mile incredible journey across 4 countries in total. Whilst I was leaving it behind, the one thing I'd always have with me are the memories of this spectacular hot hatchback and the time we spent taking on Europe. Thanks very much for watching, and let us know what you think in the comments below. Please subscribe for more on the latest and greatest cars to hit the road. For all of the latest automotive news, written reviews and coverage from motor shows, go to www.insidelane.co.uk.